afternoon, whenever you're listening to this. Welcome to the internet's most sophisticated wrestling podcast, discussing the weekly aspects of it all, right here on
The Bald Monkeys Wrestling Podcast.
Welcome back to the Bald Monkeys podcast. Here we are with Monkey Talk. Myself, Christopher, is with you. The Captain Chuckles here. Captain, we're here with another interview.
We are. It's
We're
our
excited.
5th edition of the revamped interviews for Monkey Talk.
Monkey Talk. We got a new name and everything, so it's fancy. But let's get to our guest because that's the most important thing of all of our Monkey Talks. This is the Bareknuckle Berserker. This is Lord Crewe. Lord Crewe, thank you for coming and joining us tonight.
Thank you guys for having me. I really, really appreciate it.
So with all of our interviews, we like to start the same way. We like to find out how everyone started, and how everyone started as a little person, a little Lord Crewe, a wee lad. What was little Lord Crewe like?
So little Lord Crewe is kind of your typical 90s kid. You know, I grew up on Nintendo cartoons like Ninja Turtles, Biker Mice from Mars, you know, all the essentials. I played baseball when I was a kid. Just kind of like, you know, ride my bike, just typical kid stuff, I guess.
Awesome.
Yeah, man.
Now, when did wrestling come into play?
Wrestling has always been a part of my life as long as I can remember. My earliest memory of wrestling was just being a little kid in the kitchen, and my mom was like doing dishes, and she had like this little tiny TV in the kitchen that she would like throw the news on and stuff. So I was eating breakfast one morning, and I was scrolling through, and I saw this dude pop up on the screen. He was just like the coolest dude on planet Earth. He had these gold chains, this sweet silk shirt, like a little curl on his forehead. And I just thought he was like the coolest dude I'd ever seen in my entire life. He was oozing machismo, and I wanted to be just like him someday. So.
Oh man, the Razor. That's awesome.
Yeah, man, Razor's my dude.
So he stands out to you now, and you start watching and being a fan of wrestling.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, was he the first one that made you go, man, I could do this someday, or was that somebody else?
Man, I have a kind of different path than a lot of guys do. It's like a lot of guys did like backyard and stuff like that. Like I never really did that. I didn't actually start training to wrestle until I was in my mid-20s. So like I started a lot later than a lot of guys did, but like I've always loved wrestling from a fan's point of view. But then like I had played music and stuff for years and bands and all that. So like that whole thing, it kind of ran its course, and I was just like, I'm a very like creative person. I like, you know, doing stuff that's kind of out of the ordinary. So my creative outlet was kind of plugged at the time. And I was, you know, like I said, I'd always been a fan of it. I'd always loved it. And one day me and some buddies were sitting around watching a pay-per-view, and I'm like, man, I've always wanted to do that. Like, I don't even know like how to get into it or anything else. So like a guy that I had known since probably middle school, I knew that he was like part of a local fed for years. So I just kind of reached out to him, and then he helped kind of put me in the right direction. But I'd say like the wrestler who made me want to be a wrestler would be Taker. Just because like, there's just always been something so cool about that character and how like it kind of evolved with the times and, you know, changed slightly, but it always kind of remained the same. There's just something about him was just that mystique was always real cool to me.
Yeah, mystique, aura, the words of like basically that Taker just carried throughout his career that all of us were just enamored with. Now, do you remember what that pay-per-view was?
The pay-per-view where I said that I wanted to give it a shot, I know it was a Royal Rumble. I can't tell you exactly what year or whatever, but I know it was definitely a Rumble.
That's the one. We often go on trips every year, and we try to get together as a group, and the Rumble is the one we always want to go to because that's just something. There's something about the Royal Rumble that it's different than everything else. It all goes to that big moment of who's going to win, the anticipation of who the surprises are.
That's my favorite part. I always love the callbacks and like the random, like the stuff that you don't prepare for that always gets a good pop out of you.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I popped. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, I've never been to a Rumble, but that would be cool. I've been to a Mania, but I've never been to a Rumble.
So we've actually done all Big Four. So we've done.
Oh, that's pretty sweet.
Every single one, and I would still say Rumble is my favorite of all the ones we've been to.
Yeah, Mania is always too long.
It was definitely long, but it was like I somehow just got like it was a weird series of events that led up to it, but I got like a free floor seat at the one 2 years ago. So when it was like in New Jersey or whatever.
Yep.
Okay.
And like, yeah, I got like a free floor seat, and I was like, I was in the same section as like Wale and Billy Corgan and stuff. So like, I was in the baller section, didn't pay a dime, so that was pretty sweet.
Dang,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Like we have good stories, but that like just trumps the crap out of
exactly.
our stories.
Apparently, like a buddy of mine who I've been friends with, and I actually knew him from the music industry, but like I guess he had a connection in MetLife, and the guy owed him a favor, so that was the favor, and I don't know, it all worked out in my favor, so I can't complain.
Yeah. Thanks for the
definitely
favor.
can't complain about that. Now you've been wrestling for 5 years or so, correct?
Correct.
Now
I started, about 5 or 6. Yeah,
good. Okay, so our research is precise so far.
So far,
Now, where did you begin? Where did you train? Like, how did when you decided that you were going to be a wrestler? How did you get into it? I know you said you had talked to a friend. So what's that story?
Yeah, so I had reached out to my buddy who I knew wrestled, and I kind of just asked him when their next show was. And he told me about, an upcoming event. So I just kind of took it upon myself to show up. Like I bought a ticket, I sat and watched, and I loved it. I loved the atmosphere. I loved, just everything about it. So he came out at intermission, and I went and talked to him and told him that, I had an interest in training. And he kind of like had a confused look on his face. He's like, dude, I've done this forever. Like, why did you never say anything? And because it was just so sort of just like a spur of the moment decision that I had made. And then like I stuck around after the show. I started, I helped put up chairs, helped tear the ring down. And then he introduced me to the head trainer there, Roger Ruffin. He's trained guys like Carl Anderson, Abyss, Wildcat Chris Harris. So like I met him. He invited me to come down to the training center, and I signed up that first night that I attended the training because like I knew it was what I wanted to do.
That's awesome. Now, now I know a lot of the beginning of your career was with NWF.
Correct. Yeah.
Was
Roger,
that with them?
Yeah. Roger runs the NWF, and he operates a training school under that umbrella. So he was
Nice.
He was that guy that, really gave me that first shot.
The first and your first shot, I mean, it was a pretty good first shot. You did win a couple of championships there.
Yeah, I did. And I still wrestle for Roger, when my schedule allows it. He kind of gets that I'm trying to get out and do more.
Mm-hmm.
So, but he's pretty much told me that whenever I'm free, there's always a ring there for me. And he's a great guy. I respect the hell out of him. And but yeah, he pushed me pretty hard right away when I first started. I know like my character's kind of come a long way from that, from the original thing that he had given me.
I was going to ask about that.
Yeah, go ahead and ask away.
So in doing some research, some of the first things that came up was medieval mayhem. It was more of a medieval garb kind of knightly get up,
like Game of Thrones
Yep.
type stuff. Yeah. So like, I don't know if that was where he got that from because Game of Thrones was so hot when I very first debuted. Maybe he was just like, that would be something cool. I wasn't real keen on it originally because it's just not me, you know what I mean? And like, but I was so hungry to just, debut and get in the ring. I would have pretty much done anything he asked me to do. So
yeah,
I went with it and I tried to make the best of it. It wasn't really my most comfortable role that I had ever taken on, but like I said, I just tried to do what I could with it. I think he kind of started to feel that I wasn't super comfortable with it. So he put me in a stable with another guy named the mercenary Anthony Bryant, and Wildcat Chris Harris was kind of our manager.
Mhm.
And once I stabled up with those guys, I kind of changed my gear up to look a little more like the group. And then I sort of just made it my own from there. And that, I think, was really what allowed me to become more myself and what I had originally envisioned for myself as a wrestler.
Was that you just kind of working on your creativity? You mentioned you're kind of a creative person, so.
Yeah, so like I've always kind of had a vision for myself if I was a wrestler. And, you know, and I get this a lot from people. They, you know, like I have kind of a different look, you know, like, you know, some people say that I guess I just look like some dude, but I mean, when, at least at the NWF, like he didn't have anybody else who's like super heavily tattooed, you know, like I have this long gnarly beard. He, you know, like that's just, I had something different, but then like I wasn't able to like show that. Like my gear had long sleeves and like, but I don't know, it just it didn't feel like me. But then once I got with our stable was called the Crimson Mafia. So once I got with those dudes, I really felt like I could start being me. Like, you know, I could talk more and get a little more of my attitude involved in it. So that felt right, you know. So, and that's kind of brought me to where I am now.
Was it awkward wrestling in that more medieval gear? Because like watching some of those matches, like I'm just like, man, that just looks so either uncomfortable or just weird to wrestle in.
Really, the guy who did it, like the guy who made that gear did a really damn good job as far as like making it able to move in and stuff. Like, I mean, he did a damn good job because he's actually he's a costume designer for like, it's called Playhouse in the Park. It's like a thing in Cincinnati where they, you know, they just do like different plays and stuff like that. But I guess he's used to making stuff that people have to be able to move around in. So, I mean, I didn't feel like, what's the word I'm looking for? I didn't feel like cluttered in it or anything, but it was just so damn hot and like,
oh yeah,
it's awful. Like, cause that thing that I wore, I mean, it has some weight to it because it was like legit leather and stuff. So like, I mean, it was hot, heavy. I was super stoked to just, I paid a lot of money for it, but I was super stoked to not ever have to wear it again.
I bet.
So like, I'll bust it out every now and then if I like go to a Renaissance fair or something, but like, that's about the only purpose it serves these days.
That's cool. Now you transition from the medieval character, you're in with Crimson. How did the nickname, the Bareknuckle Berserker, which is an awesome nickname, not just for alliteration purposes, but just in and of itself is an awesome nickname. How did that come about?
Yeah, so as the character was starting to evolve, like I wanted to, again, like continue the evolution. So my offense has always been really strike heavy. A lot of my stuff is, you know, a lot of punches, a lot of forearms, just a very fighty style. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of where the bare knuckle part came. And a berserker is a bit of a callback to the original medieval thing because I had a lot of Viking influence in my gear. So in Norse mythology, a berserker is a warrior who fought in like a trance-like state and, you know, just like violent, unpredictable, and out of control. So I thought that was kind of fitting to my style. And like you said, alliteration's always sick. So I thought it sounded good. So I just kind of rolled with it.
That's cool. Yeah. I really liked I don't know if it was on the medieval one, but it was kind of, it had a wolf behind like the logo, it looked like when I was looking at it.
Yeah. So that was when I had a really bad knee injury a few years back. Like I ruptured my patella tendon in my left knee. So I was out for about 6 months. And before the injury, my gear was like fine, but it was a little like plain. Mm-hmm. So when I came back, like I had worked my ass off in the gym, like I had put on some muscle. I wanted to come back like looking different. So I did like all new gear. I had a guy make that wolf head design that I had for a while, and that was like on the back of a denim vest. So that was after I had already kind of started the evolution of the character.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so like it's weird. I feel like my gear and my merch always kind of go in line, because I try to like, I know this sounds dumb, but like I always try to give the fans in my merch something that looks like what I wear in the ring, so it almost feels like they're a part of it, I guess.
Mhm.
I don't know if that makes sense, but
It does.
You're
Yeah.
creating that brand. You're creating your brand. You know, that's you.
So, yeah, like my most recent run of shirts was like my vest patches were just that printed onto a t-shirt. So it's like the thing I wear to the ring, like the fans can have that, you know.
That makes sense. Yeah, because growing up as a kid, what'd you do? You dressed up and pretended to be these wrestlers, right? I mean, some of the kids were out there ripping their shirts all open because they were Hulk Hogan, or, you know, they were throwing the Undertaker, you know, garb on, or finding a hat that was something like the Undertaker.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, grabbing those gold chains and being Razor Ramon.
I was never that cool, but I tried.
You won a couple of championships in NWF. You are also a Grand Slam champion, the first Grand Slam champion for PTW, correct?
Yeah, that's Primetime Wrestling in Paris, Kentucky. If you're familiar with Larry D from Impact Wrestling, that's his promotion. Larry D is a really good friend of mine. He's been one of my big mentors.
You had a couple of matches against him, I think, too, right?
Yeah, we've had several. We've had matches all over the place. He was actually in the match that I blew my knee out. It was like a Royal Rumble type match, and Larry and I know it was a full blown Rumble.
Battle.
So,
okay.
Yeah, so Larry and I were 1 and 2, and my knee got hurt when the third guy came out. So it was like, yeah, but I mean, we've had matches in NWF, PTW, IWA, Rockstar. I mean, me and Larry have had, you know, quite a few all over the place. So, but yeah, at PTW, I was their first ever Grand Slam champion. I've held their heavyweight, their elite, and their tag titles. So that was pretty cool. You know, it's a good feeling to know that a place puts that kind of trust in you. So that was pretty sweet.
Now we're unfortunately still in the middle of the world being a little weird. However,
weird.
Yeah. You did get a chance to get back into the ring not too long ago. Middle of July. You were in a ladder match.
Yeah.
Now there was quite a cringe-worthy spot in that match. Talk about, like, how was it getting back in? Did you feel any rust getting into the ring? And, you know, what was the match like? And then talk a little bit about, you know,
the thing.
What happened there with the ladder for a little bit.
So, like, yeah, I mean, I'd be lying if I said that, like, I didn't feel a little bit of rust. Because, I mean, like I said, that was my first time in a ring in 3 months. Because, I mean, can't even really train right now with the way that things are. I didn't even know that I was doing that show until about 3 days beforehand. So, like, yeah. So,
it's quick get ready into shape almost.
Yeah, pretty much. But, I mean, I felt really, really stoked to, like, have them throw me on because, you know, I was missing it a lot and I was ready to get back in. A lot of really talented guys in that match. You know, BP4, if you're familiar with him, Bradley Prescott, the natural light heavyweight. He's really good at what he does. I always enjoy getting to share a ring with him. Chase Holiday, he was in the match. Yeah, so like I said, I definitely felt a little rusty, but I think it all worked out. Right up there until the end. I was going up for the title. I got pulled off the ladder, and I took a lariat from Chase Holiday. I backflipped out of the lariat. My head went between 2 of the rungs on the ladder. I did a very proper scorpion. I'm pretty sure my heels hit the middle of my back. Honestly, it looked a lot worse than it was.
That's
felt
good.
fine. I felt fine. I know like there was a couple like all the referees like immediately slid in and checked on me. I'm like, yo, I'm cool, bro. Like, but it definitely, watching it back, it looked pretty gnarly.
Makes for a great social media, message.
Yeah, for sure,
Yeah.
for sure, yeah.
Check
I know,
this
like,
out.
It's bad though when the guys in the back are waiting behind the curtain and they're like, "Yo, dude, are you good?" Like, because like I know, like again, Larry D's one of my really good friends, and he was on that show, and he was one of the ones right behind the curtain, and he's like, "Brother, like, are you good?" Yeah, it was definitely looked real bad, but yeah, I'm fine.
I think I had to go back and watch it a bunch of different times,
Yeah,
just to see. I was like, oh, like where did the head and the neck land on that bottom rung of the ladder and everything?
So I think my forehead like kind of caught the one rung, but like it just barely grazed it, and so that put my head between the two, which actually like took any and all stress off of my neck.
Mm-hmm.
So like once my head went through though, that's where my heels went over, and I'm sure if Ridiculousness got a hold of that, they'd probably
Rob Deerdeck would love that.
They'd give you a scorpion spot.
Exactly. Coming up, I know that you've been announced for at least one show, and I know that's Unsanctioned Pro. That's going to be in the end of September. Do you have anything else coming up that you can talk about? And do you know what you'll be doing at Unsanctioned Pro?
I think I have a pretty good idea of what I'm doing at the Unsanctioned Pro show, but it hasn't been announced yet. So I'll kind of let them announce it under their own accord. But I can say that I definitely will be there. I'm really excited about what I think is going to happen. So
nice.
I would expect that to be announced in the next few days. So if anybody watches this and cares to find out, just watch my social media. I'm sure that'll be dropping in the next few days. But yeah, if you're unfamiliar with Unsanctioned Pro, they're doing some really cool stuff out of Columbus, Ohio. He's been running for a little over a year now. I came in at Unsanctioned 4, and he's up to number 9 now. So I've had a lot of fun there. He's given me a lot of really fun matches. I think they have something real special with that crowd that they draw. It's super fun, super passionate crowd. They're into everything, and it's just, if every show ever was like that, I think wrestling would be a way better place.
Oh yeah, we talk about all the time how much a crowd makes a show, whether it be on TV, whether it be in person. It's a tough time right now not having a crowd, and we're noticing it because it's just different. There's something missing, and it's the crowd. It's that interaction. It's the cheering. It's the roars, the boos, whatever it could be. So
I mean, like, it would be like a stand-up comedian telling jokes and no one laughing. You know what I mean? It's
that's perfect.
Yeah, I mean, could you imagine how awkward it would be for a stand-up comedian to like drop a punchline and just crickets? But like, there's people laughing at home, but you just can't hear it. And you're just like hoping that they care. But there's really no way to gauge from the room how funny the joke was, or
just laughing at himself. Yeah,
man. Like I said, fortunately for me, I mean, I don't know. I guess it depends on how you look at it, because right now I would just love to be wrestling, but I don't know how I would handle wrestling. I mean, it would just feel like a training match, and I just think it would be like really weird to like have the same mentality as if there's that live crowd, and that because you can't really feed off that energy and stuff. So it would definitely it would be strange, but I mean, we got kind of just gotta play the hand we're dealt at this point.
Yeah. Now through that, we're going through this weird time, and you're going through your career, and you've hit this patch of, okay, what do I do now? What's next? How do you stay motivated to keep pushing forward, and what do you do to motivate yourself?
So like, motivation for me it's pretty easy, and I know it probably isn't for a lot of people, but the things that keep me motivated are just the fact that like I haven't really given myself a backup plan. Like for me, it's like either succeed or just like go work some shit job I'm going to hate forever. So like I'm always been one of those people who just put more value in doing things that make me happy. And like, stuff that I'm actually passionate about than like putting a lot of stock in some career that I just don't give a shit about. That there's nothing worse to me than clocking out and just dreading every second that you're there and like watching, just like staring at your watch, like in 10 minutes have gone by and it feels like 4 hours. Like that to me is that is the worst kind of hell. And like, I just want something more for myself than that. And like, I want to prove, like everybody who has been a part of my life along the way, who's ever doubted me or like said that I can't do it or that it won't happen. Like, I just want to be able to look him in the eyes and just give him that smirk and a little, but like, and I mean, I have personally, I've made a lot of sacrifices for this. And I would just like to know that they weren't made in vain. Like I would like to just see some payoff. And the only way to ever see payoff is just keep busting your ass and, keep working toward that. And like, I don't mean to get super sentimental here, but like a thing that, like, I lost my dad when I was a kid. He passed away, and wrestling was always a thing that we bonded over. Mm-hmm. And so like it breaks my heart that he never got to see me do this. But like, I just feel like wherever he is, that like, I just want him to be proud, and I want to be successful at this and like make him proud some way,
Mm-hmm.
So that's another thing that kind of keeps me motivated.
It's tough. And then we've heard a few people that have that catalyst in their life, mm-hmm. that moment of, it sucks that I got to go through this, but it's that moment that kind of pushed me or motivates me to push mm-hmm. myself that much further.
Yeah. And like, and I didn't say that as like I don't want pity or anything, but I mean, given the hand that I was dealt, I think I've had a pretty good outcome. But like I said, my dad meant a lot to me, and nothing would make me happier than to know that he's proud. So mm-hmm. that's where that comes from.
Which I'm sure he is. I'm sure he's very proud.
I think so. So yeah, knowing the dude he was, I'd say so.
You mentioned a lot of different towns and cities as we're going through different promotions that you worked with. Mm-hmm. We always like to talk about, stories from the road. What kind of fun stories do you have traveling around, running these different circuits?
So probably the funniest story that I have, and actually watching the Shane Mercer episode of your show made me kind of jog my memory, because mine also involves a bathroom. So like,
love it.
Okay.
So it was me, a guy named Crash Jackson, who is another Midwest guy, and for those of you who don't know who he is, look him up. And Impact's Ace Austin. We were doing a couple dates out in like Pennsylvania, New Jersey area. So we were on just some random highway going through Pennsylvania, and I had some coffee. I had this shit. So I hit this rest stop off the side of the highway. I'm sitting in there, I'm doing my business, and I just, sitting there, and I just hear like somebody just comes running through this bathroom, right? All of a sudden, and I'm kind of sitting leaning forward. This fucking door comes busting wide open, almost hits me in the face. I'm like, oh shit. And like, there's this like 8-year-old kid staring me in the eyes. And I'm like sitting there, pants around my ankles. And like I said, this kid just looks at me like Macaulay Culkin in Home Alone. And I'm like, well, shut the fucking door, kid. Just don't sit there and stare. And like, so then like you hear his little flip-flops go running out of the bathroom. And like,
oh my,
I don't know like where that kid's parents were or where that kid went after that, because I didn't see him again. But like, just the horror in this child's face. And just that super awkward stare down for about 5 seconds. And I'm just like, kid, go. Like, come like,
Occupado.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Like, and it was just, and I mean, I even had the door locked, but this kid had to have like karate kicked it or something. Dude, that thing came flying open, and it could have knocked me out if it would have hit me. And like,
was there only like just one stall in there?
No, that's the thing. It's like,
that's even better.
Because I observed after this interaction, I didn't see feet on either side of me, so he could have literally went to any of the other ones, but instead, like, so that's probably one of my funniest stories from the road. And I know I mentioned Mercer. I've hit the road with him quite a bit. That dude's a trip. Like, just we have a very similar sense of humor that probably a lot of other people wouldn't find as funny as we do. So like, he's a blast. So anytime I get to hit the road with that dude, it's always fun.
It's good to have a good road buddy that gets you and you can get along with.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. Makes the rides a lot less painful.
Yeah. Now, if you're not wrestling, we like to find out what else you're doing. What kind of hobbies you have? I see you got the Harley Davidson hat on.
Yeah, I ride.
What are you into? What do you keep busy with if you can't get into a ring?
I hang out with my dog a lot. I know you guys saw him before we hit record. That's my dude. So I try to, well, especially when the world's busy and I'm wrestling and working, like, I like to try to keep some time to pay attention to him because I know he misses me when I'm gone and all that. I like I said, I take the bike out, cruise around, play video games. A big nerd in that aspect. So.
What's the video game of choice?
Oh god, I play. So pre-COVID, I played a lot of Overwatch.
Okay.
Man, I'm gonna get real nerdy here for a second, but so once COVID hit, I got back into like World of Warcraft.
Okay.
So I started playing WoW Classic. So like a bunch of my buddies play, so it was just something that I knew would kill a lot of time. And
no, it's good.
So that's where we're
kill a lot of time.
So that's where
we're all
that's
nerds.
where my life's at. So that's where my life's at this point.
Everybody's a nerd in some way. It just depends
For
on
sure.
what you're nerding out on. Wrestling. I mean, that's a nerd.
Yeah,
in itself.
that's a nerd. Yeah, that's a nerdy thing all in itself. Yeah, but don't call me a nerd.
I can see the. I have one of the Harley places pretty much right in my backyard here in Pennsylvania. So I go out on my deck and I can see their plant right over the way.
Oh, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had a motorcycle probably. I've been riding for like 10 years or better. I got my first one when I was like 20. So yeah, that's been a pretty constant part of my life for a while. So I actually worked at a Harley dealership for a while. Yeah, that was a fun story. I just got fired over some shit that I didn't do. Like my roommates did something real dumb at the time, and like it was kind of a guilty by association type thing. Yeah.
Did you like that job?
Oh, dude, it was a blast. I got paid to ride motorcycles. What's not to love?
That's awesome.
No, yeah. So, but the guy I worked for was kind of a douche, So it's, there's always that. You got to take the good with the bad, I guess.
Yeah.
You know who you are, guy who's a douche, because we know you're listening to the podcast when this comes on.
You can have this guy working for you.
That dude's probably like playing golf or like, I don't know, doing something not cool.
Pretty much, probably. Not as cool as being here talking to the two of us.
Absolutely, right? And you guys are pretty cool.
Okay.
You guys are all right. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
I know we're your favorite podcast to talk to, but you got other favorites. Everybody's got them.
Everybody has them,
Going through and looking at some of your past social media posts, I saw some pretty cool music pop up there. So what's some of the favorite music that you like to listen to? Like, and it could be like if you're working out, when you're traveling, when you're just chilling, like what's on your playlist?
Bro, my musical taste is so all over the place. It's ridiculous. But like predominantly I'm a metalhead. I listen to a lot of my walkout song is Stranded by Gojira.
Mm-hmm.
I listen to a lot of Slayer. Behemoth is one of my big ones. Pretty into Ghost. I like a lot of Judas Priest is my favorite band of all time. I'm into Sabbath, Iron Maiden, like a lot of the older stuff. But I really dig classic rock. I'm a big fan of older hip hop.
Okay.
I like old outlaw country. Like I said, I'm all over the place. But
I was just gonna ask, what's the musical guilty pleasure that someone just kind of looking at you wouldn't be like, now there's no way that he would listen to that.
Taylor Swift.
Okay.
I have a 10-year-old niece, bro. She loves it. So
hey, I'm the same way. I'm not with Taylor Swift. I hate her. I can't deal with her. I just can't do it. But
you're just
trust
doing
me,
yourself a disservice.
or making my ears not bleed. but hey, trust me.
What's yours?
My guilty pleasure? Oh
Yeah,
man,
let's hear it. Dump it on me.
it would be NSYNC.
I'm more of a Backstreet Boys guy. So
98 degrees.
Hey, we got them all.
he's entitled to his wrong opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, it would definitely be NSYNC. It's just fun stuff to listen to.
Yeah.
You travel around a lot. What's your favorite city to wrestle in?
My favorite city to wrestle in, like I said, that unsanctioned crowd in Columbus, Ohio is just another level. So I always like going there. I've done a couple shows out in Jersey. Like Jersey's pretty cool. I was supposed to go back to Jersey in May, but all that got kind of kiboshed due to COVID. So hopefully I'll get to hit that place back up eventually. Synergy out in Jersey, shout out.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I'm just a big fan of going places and seeing new things. And like, I appreciate the time that I get to actually smell the roses and like see some stuff. There's a lot of times where we'll go to shows and like it's just straight to the venue and then straight home. I dig more of the being able to like hang out, check some stuff out, try some of the local food. I'm a big food fan, so I like trying little hole in the wall spots that I can't get everywhere else. And
you're like best friends with the guy over here. He loves those hole in the wall food spots.
Oh yeah. If it doesn't look like you should go in, I'm going in.
I'm there, dude. Yeah. So like, I know another one of the dudes who I love hanging out with more than anything. I wish I could see him more. And this is actually how we connected. Is Zicky Dice.
Mm-hmm.
That's my dude. We met each other at the New Japan LA dojo when we did a tryout for them, and we just became like instant friends. And he's another one who, when we hang out, like I love going and exploring stuff with that dude, and like, you know, eating different cool places because he's like that too.
He seems like a lot of fun.
Like smelling the roses. Yeah, I'm actually going to his bachelor party at the end of the month, so that should be a blast. I'm flying.
Chris has been trying to win a spot into it.
Spot. Oh man, yeah. So we're going out to like Lake Tahoe.
Oh, very cool.
So that'll be pretty cool. Yeah, I'm a little weirded out about going. Just like I don't really want to fly right now. You know, but like, Zicky's my dude. I wouldn't miss it for the world. So
it's awesome getting out there and discovering things, and that's almost an adventure in itself. You know, the adventure of what you guys do as a profession is one thing, but then to have like this secondary thing where it's like, because I'm doing this, now I get to go explore and find these different things out that I probably would have never ran into if I wasn't doing this job.
Yeah,
most definitely. Like, if it wasn't for wrestling, I'd have no idea who that dude was. And and that's another super cool thing about wrestling is a lot of the people you meet along the way. I know we found out here recently that there are, you know, some bad people in wrestling, but for every bad person, there's 10 good ones. And I'm very fortunate to have got to meet a lot of the people that I have, and some of the friendships that I've made in wrestling, you know, far transcend wrestling. And I'm very fortunate to have met some of these people. So
that's the good part of all this is
absolutely
to meet those people that you work with, but you can connect on like a friendship level, and it's not just a in-ring kind of thing and I'll see you next time.
Right.
You know?
No, yeah. I know that there's like a couple dudes who I could call in with anything in the world and they'd be there in a heartbeat. And like, that's cool to me because I appreciate real people, like, you know, who actually back when they say that they're your friend or that they're there for you. And, you know, a lot of people in wrestling, and like I said, for every one bad, there's probably 10 good, but, you know, there are a lot of people who will just kind of be your friend and, you know, because they want something out of you or, you know, they have some ulterior motives. But I really respect the dudes who are there because they're just genuinely good people and, you know, actually look out for their peers and whatnot. So
Yeah.
We've found a lot of those people, I think, on our little journey here as podcast people, because I've been amazed about the great people we've been able to talk to and what they've gone through, and then just how they're genuine people that we stay in contact with after the fact too. So
yeah, for sure.
We'll get back to the favorites in a second. But if you don't know what we were talking about, make sure you hit up twitch.tv. You can check out Zicky's stream there. That's how we met Lord Crewe. That's how we met some of our other people. Zicky's a cool dude. It's a lot of fun. He has a lot of fun. Did you have fun on his Twitch?
I did.
you were dancing.
I didn't. I wasn't really sure what the hell I was getting myself into, but I figured, with him, it was going to be outlandish.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So make sure you guys check that out too. Favorite opponent that you have faced thus far in the ring?
I would say the favorite opponent that I have is because of something we did. There's a guy out of Detroit, Michigan named Austin Mannix, and him and I at Rockstar Pro, we did a best of 7 series. And the way that kind of all happened was Rockstar runs every Wednesday night, and then they do an iPay-per-view the first Friday of every month. So we had just got kind of randomly thrown together on a Wednesday night, just, kind of just like a match to fill the card or whatever. And we went out and just crushed it. Like, we had a super good match, and the guy who books the shows there was so impressed with the match that, like, I was on my way to the back, and he stopped me and told me to hang on a second. He got in the ring and was like, "Man, I love that. I want to see more of that. Like, I'm putting these guys back on Friday at the iPay-per-view." So we went out, crushed it again, and that was where he shot the best of 7. And every match that we did in that best of 7 had a different stipulation. So, like, one match was win by knockout. One match was 2 strikes and you're out. So, like, you were only allowed to throw 2 strikes. If you threw a third, you were disqualified. And we're both very strike heavy in our offense. So it kind of made us think outside the box a little bit and, like, kind of step outside of our comfort zones. But then as the matches progressed, they got more and more violent. There were street fights, dog collar matches, falls count anywhere. It's like, I mean, I think we both really elevated each other during that best of 7. And I think it kind of, like, it made us really good friends in the process. And, like, I would vouch for that dude to the end of the earth. And like I said, I look back at those matches and I really feel like it helped with my confidence, and it helped kind of show, like, what I'm capable of when I have the opportunity to kind of do some of these other styles of matches and stuff. So I would say he's probably one of my favorite opponents. And then Aaron Williams would be another, if you're not familiar with him.
Okay.
Aaron's one of those guys who I feel like he's one of those people that doesn't make sense to me how he isn't signed somewhere, because he's so good. I don't think I've ever seen him have a bad match. Like, he's kind of notorious for, he'll have a match with somebody, they'll send it off and then get a tryout because and he's always the guy that's his running joke with himself. He's like, "Well, I'm glad I can get everybody else tryouts."
Yeah, there you go.
But I mean, he's just so good, and I really feel like he brings out the best in everyone he wrestles, myself included. So if you're not familiar with Aaron Williams, check him out. Go look up some of his matches. Dude's just next level with how good he is, and I really think that it's unfortunate that somebody on a larger platform hasn't picked up on him.
Yeah. To piggyback off of the best of 7 series and to throw in another question,
Sure.
Looking at some of the matches that you've had, it seems like you've been in a number of different, like, Rumble type things, just with multiple wrestlers in the ring at one time. What's your favorite type of match to have?
Honestly, I've kind of grown fond of more like street fight type matches, or you know, like the falls count anywheres, or, you know, I like more that ECW style. Like I'm a fan of the like more ultra violent stuff. Like I don't know how I feel about like a death match, but like, but I definitely like the more violent side of things, and like, you know, when weapons can get involved and stuff like that. I don't know. It's just fun to me.
Yeah, you had I saw a pretty sweet one that was you climbed up a faux like rock climbing wall.
Oh yeah.
And then dove off it, and like I think it was a falls count anywhere match.
Yeah, it was.
Like, holy shit!
That was actually against a guy named Casanova Valentine. He's the guy who kind of came up with the concept of the like no ring death match.
Mm-hmm.
And I know like Viceland did a big documentary on him and stuff, and he's a great dude, and he's so good at what he does. And that was a match that I wanted really bad, and the guy from Unsanctioned listened when I said that, and you know, he gave it and kind of let me, because he saw that best of 7 series, and he saw some of those matches that I was doing where that level of violence was kind of getting ramped up, and some of the more weapon stuff was being involved. So he saw that I was sort of dabbling in that, and he kind of wanted to give me that platform, and I really enjoyed that match. Like I said, that clip of the rock wall was pretty sweet.
It was. You've been in a couple of tag teams, and I don't want to cause any heat between any of your with any of your previous tag partners, but who's been your most favorite tag partner that you've had?
So going back to what I said earlier about being in that Crimson Mafia stable, Mercenary Anthony Bryant and I were we were the longest reigning tag champions in the history of the Northern Wrestling Federation. So as far as just like long term and just like that history, I would have to go with him on that. But I've tagged with a guy from Detroit named Karam quite a bit. And that dude, he's probably only like 22, 23 years old, but he's insanely jacked, like super good looking dude. And like, I know that dude's going to get signed somewhere. It's just a matter of time. Like that kid's got money written all over him. So, you know, and again, I go back to talking about, you know, people who I'm friends with outside of wrestling. Karam's another one of those. Like him and I have gotten really close, and he's a really good dude. And I love seeing him come up and start getting some of the opportunities that he's getting. So.
Nice. Final of the favorites before we get to the
big one,
our big question,
the big one,
the big question. Who is the dream match against?
It's so I have a couple. There's one that's a little more unrealistic at this point. I want a match with Pentagon so bad. Like that's like my big one. That's my big one, but I know that's a little more unrealistic at this point, you know. But some other guys that are like on the independent level who I'd really like to have matches with. I mean, I want to go toe to toe with all the brawlers. Like, give me Gary J, give me Chris Dickinson, give me Matt Justice, Mance Warner. Like, I want the guys who are the brawlers. So those are all dudes who I want to eventually get a shot with. I want to have a match with Mercer. He's a really good friend of mine, but we've never wrestled. So like that's another one. I want to wrestle Effie real bad. And I wouldn't mind getting old Zicky Dyson a one-on-one. We've had a run in and a rumble somewhere for like Wrestling Revolver, but I want to have the one-on-one with Zicky.
Nice.
That's a nice list. I mean, do you find yourself kind of making that list mentally and going, all right, I need to work towards this next, I need to work towards this next, or is it just kind of whatever falls in your lap, you'll say yes and I'm going with it?
Well, it's a little bit of both. I'm one of those people who I'm not afraid to jump in a car and go to shows that I'm not booked on with nothing promised to me. Like, especially if it's somewhere that I really want to, somewhere I want to be a part of. So like, I know like this coming Sunday, Game Changer is going to be in Indianapolis. That's like an hour and a half from my house. So I'm going to go, I'm going to set up, hang out. If he's got something for me, awesome. I'll gladly take that opportunity and make the absolute best out of it. But if he doesn't, hey, I showed up, I got my face seen, you know. But like, I've always been that person who I don't want anything handed to me. I want to earn my spots. I want to earn the stuff that I'm given. So I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. You know, the whole COVID thing kind of put a little bit of a screeching halt on that for the time being, but it won't last forever. You know, there's light at the end of the tunnel. So, you know, I just got to keep that same motivation, keep that same drive. And then I feel like once I earn my shots at places, then those dream matches that I have will just start kind of falling into place, you know. So
speaking of the end of the tunnel, we are here.
We're here.
It's what everybody listens to the podcast for when they shouldn't want to just listen to the last question on the damn podcast. However, we're here.
All right, we're here.
I feel so good about this. This is the best I've ever felt about the last question. I'm just gonna say it now.
I feel like you have some like inside information, Christopher, and I'm not sure why. But Oreo cookies, double stuff, or the classic single stuff?
Okay, so there's only one correct answer to this question.
That is
true. And that's clearly the double stuffed. Because
come back.
I mean, so okay. Have you seen the mega stuffs?
Yeah,
I'm
a double stuff.
It's too much.
The mega stuff is too much.
The mega stuff too much. The regulars not enough. The double stuffs just right.
Right on.
Chef's kiss. Chef's kiss.
Love it.
But yeah, there's only one correct answer to that question, and if you have a different answer, then you're just not right, and that's fine. But you know, you're entitled to your own opinion.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. I
mean, verbatim words that have come directly out of my mouth. So that's why I knew. I saw the vision of how smart Lord Crewe was. It was obvious that this was going to come to fruition, and we were going to get to this point.
And we're back. We're back on the double stuff road.
We are.
We had a little bit of a bump there for a second.
Who was part of the bump? Don't tell me Mercer. Don't tell me Mercer.
No, I think Shane was double stuff. I think.
I just don't want to get into it right now because honestly, it hurts me. The people that go out there and talk about these single stuff Oreos like they're something. I don't even know classic.
I don't know why they continue to produce them. Like they're useless.
I don't know why they produce
once
the
double
thin
stuff
ones.
Became a thing. That's just blasphemy. We're not even gonna. I don't even acknowledge those because they're just that shit. Like, so there was the originals, and that's fine. They're the originals. But when
you gotta start somewhere.
But when you create a superior product, the old becomes obsolete. So why do people even still fool with the original Oreos when a superior product is available to them? That's like using a fucking iPhone 4. No, you don't because they're shit. Yeah.
You don't see a bunch of Ford Pintos driving around right now. No,
absolutely not. No.
They created the new machines and move on.
People, It is cookie evolution.
It is.
Get on board.
Get on board.
Speaking of cookie evolution, as soon as we hang up this call, I'm going to demolish some double stuff.
I love it.
Perfect.
I should have just brought him to the station, and I could just done it right now. You know, but
you need to. No. You need to.
I don't want to get I don't want to get crumbs in my laptop. So
focus on the cookie. So, Lord, we appreciate the time you gave us.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for knowing the right answer to the final answer, and thank you for sharing the stories with us. And this is the time that you have to share anything you would like with the rest of the audience. What's going on? Where can they find you? Promote yourself.
Sure, man. Instagram and Twitter are my two big ones. I am at Lord Crewe Kills. You can catch me on Pro Wrestling Tees at prowrestlingtees.com/Lord Crewe. I just started that store like last month, so there's only one design up right now, but it's
nice.
It's a nice shirt, yeah.
It's pretty dope. So it's Ratfink inspired. So if you're familiar with what that is, go give that a look or a purchase if you're into it. And just keep an eye on my social media for any upcoming events that may present themselves. But for right now, you can catch me at Unsanctioned Pro in September.
Sweet.
Awesome.
Yep, cool.
Well, we look forward to seeing you in more rings out there. Good luck to you wherever you're driving off to and try to get on shows. We'll be rooting for you. We're going to watch every show just in case you might show up because we know you're willing to drive there.
Yeah, cool, dudes. Well, thank you so much for having me on. I really do appreciate it.
Oh, we appreciate having you. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for watching. Go hit that subscribe button. Go hit that like button. Go check us out at WrestleJoy. Go check out all the different interviews we've had. And stay tuned. We got a lot more in the works. And go check out the Lord Crew. Go check them out. Go buy that t-shirt. I am going to go buy that t-shirt right now. I'm going to go onto that website.
I'm going to be checking my email.
He'll get the email. He'll know it's coming. He'll know where it's going. So check us out. We'll check you out next time.
You can check out Lord Crew on Twitter and Instagram at Lord Crew Kills. And you can also get some of his merchandise at prowrestlingtees.com/Lord Crew. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at The Bald Monkeys. You can also check out our interviews on WrestleJoy.com. Make sure to subscribe on our YouTube page to watch our previous interviews or our roundtable discussions. Just search for The Bald Monkeys. Watch us live on our new Twitch channel, twitch.tv/TheBaldMonkeys. And finally, listen to The Bald Monkeys podcast on Apple iTunes, Podbean, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from.